Chapter 2. The Visit. Wasted Forgiveness Story by Armand Delanchian. 6 months into his sentence at the infamous Stillwater Correctional Facility in Minnesota, John Whitaker had become a ghost of the man he once was. The walls were thick with mildew, and the air inside the cell blocks hung heavy with despair. The cold metal of the bunk pressed into his bones each night as he lay awake, tormented by memories and regrets. Outside, frost clawed at the windows like silent reminders of a world that had moved on without him. There was no escape here, only time, and the echoes of his past. His only companions now were silence, scripture, and the occasional scream from another lost soul buried in the prison system. Days blurred into nights, and nights bled into a deep, punishing solitude. John had nothing left but thoughts, and those thoughts always circled back to his daughters, Isabel and Grace. Both had become powerhouse attorneys, graduating top of their class from the University of Texas Law School. Isabel, the eldest, now a senior partner at Westbrook and Langston, a prestigious law firm in Virginia. Grace, the youngest, was already making headlines as the firm's most promising associate, ambitious, focused, and completely unforgiving. He had written to them dozens of times. Each letter was returned unopened. It took nearly 2 years of silence and pleading before Isabel finally agreed to see him, not out of love, not out of forgiveness, but something else entirely. The prison visiting room smelled like disinfectant and old coffee. John sat behind the glass, hands trembling. When she walked in, he barely recognized her, her posture straight, face unreadable, dressed sharply in a charcoal suit. Her eyes were cold steel. She picked up the phone slowly, her expression a mask of absolute composure. "Isabel," he whispered into the receiver. I'm so glad you came." For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she leaned slightly forward. "The only reason I'm here," she said, voice flat, "is to tell you something face to face." John nodded slowly. "Okay. You need to rot in here forever," she said with venom. "If you think Grace and I are going to help you, you're delusional. You are dead to us. You died the day you murdered our mother." John's eyes welled up. "I didn't mean—" "No," she snapped. "You meant it. You planned it. You said you forgave her, but that was a lie. A filthy, hateful lie." He couldn't look at her. His voice cracked. I'm sorry." She stared at him, a dead cold silence in her eyes. "What you did was evil, driven by hate. My mother deserved better. You will never know peace. May your spirit rot in hell." She hung up the phone, stood, and walked out without another glance. John didn't move, couldn't move. He sat frozen, the weight of her words suffocating. By the time the guard came to escort him back, he looked like a man who had drowned in his own soul. That night, he didn't touch his dinner or his Bible. He simply sat in the dark corner of his cell, whispering fragments of scripture with hollow eyes. The guards grew concerned. By morning, he was transferred to isolation, suicide watch. 3 months passed in a small concrete box under flickering lights. He barely spoke, barely blinked. He clutched a little notebook, scribbling desperate prayers, fragmented thoughts, and unfinished apologies. Words that no one would read. Words that might never be enough. But it wasn't just guilt that consumed him. It was the truth. 10 years ago, John's wife confessed to an affair that had ended long before. She wept, begged for forgiveness. And John gave it, at least with his words. But in his heart, something darker had rooted itself. Something he didn't understand until it was too late. Now, all he had was this cell, and the question no scripture could answer. Was his forgiveness ever real? Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed Chapter 2 of You Wasted Forgiveness. Remember to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Coming up in Chapter 3, The Secret Letter. As John spirals deeper into despair, a mysterious letter arrives in prison. The handwriting is familiar. The message inside could unravel everything, or finally give him a reason to believe. Don't miss it.